The following is a conversation I've recently had with Cam, aka Young Slabby, my Gene, G-G-I-N-E. Check it out on Urban Dictionary. This session took place at the Emerald Cup's Harvest Ball recently, just a few weeks back. It was pouring rain. We were out in the artist parking lot in the Dabbin Cabin, which is our RV studio on wheels. So I hope you enjoy it. I know I did. I'm Steve Geeter, your host with the most weed from coast to coast. So come with me as we go beyond Solventless. And I'd like to say thanks to our sponsors, GoatX, the greatest of all terps, for being our Solventless sponsor for this episode. Peace!
Okay, we're back on set.
We're back
Beautiful,
on set.
beautiful.
Slabby, I was saying, thanks for coming out to the RV. And
I'm stoked to be here.
Hanging out.
It's a true honor. It's a true
buddy.
honor.
You were saying,
Yeah, a buddy of mine had told me about dabbing in the cabin. I'd seen some of your guys' videos, so to be here is almost surreal.
right on. Well, Dabbing in the Cabin is a the dab review that G and I started together. It's gone through a couple renditions, but now that we have proper gear, and
But
we're looking forward. It was right here in the cabin.
Damn, hell
This
yeah.
is definitely the Dabbin Cabin.
Okay, so that's where I remember the scene and setting from. Damn, I didn't
100%.
realize G was in that one.
It was me and G.
Wow.
Yeah.
How cool.
Me and G. We have I think there's about 5 or 6 episodes out there on YouTube.
Sweet.
You can
How
find
cool.
them. And we plan to make many more.
Amazing,
and bring our friends in
amazing.
them. And this is a version of a program I have called Into the CannAbyss. And I'm Steve Geeter, your host with the most weed from coast to coast. So come with me and my friend Cam today out into the CannAbyss.
Dude,
That's how we do it.
I'm stoked to delve in. Delve in.
We're here at the Emerald Cup. You know, we're in the back parking lot.
Long story tradition here.
The artist parking lot.
The artist parking lot. Young Slabby did sneak in here today, really with no pass or any kind of credentials. They just accepted me as Slabby into the artist parking lot. It was pretty sick.
That was it. They're like, come over here. We got a spot for you.
But yeah, I'm stoked to be here. One of the cool things, Steve was talking to me and he said before we were making this piece of content, he was like, what did you say, Steve? You're like, people ask me, they're like, who's Slabby?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm meeting people in person or whatever online and stuff, and people are telling me, who's this Slabby guy? I've seen you guys tagging him, or I asked them, do you know Slabby? My friend ESP Jesse, he's like, I don't know him, but we've been in communication on the Instagram.
The good old interwebs.
The gram,
The good old interwebs.
There's a ton of glass and cannabis on Instagram, even though they shadow ban it and do all this. It's a third of the freaking content on there, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think Young Slabby officially probably began, it started off as Young Slabbington.
Young Slabbington. Nice.
Young Slabbington was the first one.
Tell me about this.
I had 2 buddies. One was Turpington and one was Dabbington. So we were Slabbington, Turpington, and Dabbington.
I love it.
And that was around 2014 when I really started having my first quality concentrate experiences.
Right on.
I had a couple a little bit closer to 2010 that were cool, they were definitely representative of the time, but I don't know if you've ever smoked isopropyl washed
Certainly.
hash.
Of course I have. Yeah.
So those were
my
first dabbing experiences actually out in it was actually the first farm I ever visited too, out in Napomo. So I grew up in Santa Barbara, California, 805. And yeah, shortly after high school, I had a buddy who was close homies with a pretty well-known cultivator in Santa Barbara. His name was Mowgli, and his herb was known to be insanely fire. He supplied a lot of the collectives and dispensaries around town.
Right on.
And a buddy of mine was close friends with him, and one day he was just like, dude, you want to go check out the farm in Napomo? And I'd never been to a cannabis farm, so I was like, dude, of course.
Right.
I was a big aficionado, big lover of the plant. Having that experience, not just getting to see the plants, but also to meet a cultivator was a huge one. And Mowgli, he loved smoking herb, but he was a big dabber.
Huge dab fan.
Huge dabber.
Early days.
Had all this isopropyl washed hash, which if you guys aren't familiar is in terms of how many awesome methods we have today, and even just ancient traditionally, like bubble hash, I would say solventless methods are always going to be a better way of extracting THC and just representing the plant, at least in my personal experience. And concentrate that I like dabbing. I mean, there is also some great solvent hash out there and concentrate.
It exists.
But generally for me, I feel like the solventless products represent a little bit more of a genuine, authentic cannabis experience. I think they display the terpene a little bit more truer to the plant.
Right. For example, this one here is a flavor we got from a friend, Jay, over there at Redwood Valley Farms. And he did a pheno hunt last year with Papa and Barclays, and I knew about it. You know, he told me our kids are our friends and play basketball together, and I've known Jay for years around the community.
Super tight.
And so I see him a little more around the games and different stuff. But we're chatting one of the football games, I think, about, you know, some stuff he had going on, and he said he had rambutan. It was papaya and guavas, and right then and there I was like, whoa, how do I get samples?
Dude,
taste it.
It's crazy because
Good
that as we're talking on looking back at first cannabis experiences, you know, really getting familiar with the
we'll
plant.
get you set up with a fatty here.
Please, dude, that piece is gorgeous. Congratulations to the team.
Thank you, Jesse, ESP Glass, for this amazing piece of glass. This is the Goat X official dab rig, first one up the deck. You can see the colors match perfectly. Jesse does these hooks, these loops, whatever. It's very beautiful contained chaos. I think the technical term would be like reverse wags is what in just like Boro terminology, but I might be wrong there. So please, if anyone ends up watching this and is like, "You're wrong, Slabby," just tell me, DM me. I'm always open to complaints and concerns. I'm there for the haters too. Well, I know that's what I'm saying. I noticed that's what I wanted to meet you and hang out a little bit, because I noticed you start your pods off or your lives with, "Hey, this is Slabby to all you haters and my family and friends, and I love you all."
You know, it's a thing.
It's a good way to go about it, brother.
It's one of those ones. I feel like I've been very blessed and lucky to really, like, similar around that time, 2014, 2015, had always loved cannabis and had definitely had lots of experience in just being a guide person or the pathway to somebody getting cannabis back in the days of the traditional market.
Same.
Things of that nature. But it was really when I moved to the Bay Area that I got more hyper familiar with like the culture around cannabis.
Right
you
on.
know, I think I always knew good weed. I knew the genetics that would like cross my table and like that I'd become familiar with and what was tight to me. But I wasn't hyper hip to the lore. When I moved to Berkeley, that was when I really woke up to just how much history there is behind the cannabis industry.
Yeah.
The legacy of some of these contributors who have just quite literally changed the world with their innovations to the plant. You know, I mean, even right now, like concentrate is my primary way that I like to medicate and use cannabis. And just even in that scene and industry, we've seen so much applied technology brought over. We've seen so much rapid evolution. I think of the days, like I used to run a delivery service in Berkeley called Terptown, and that was like
Terptown.
Yeah, Terptown. It was a great one. I mean, Prop 215, I feel like was such a golden era for cannabis, and just I think it made it fluid for the people who are passionately interested to get involved, and at least for me personally, then it was like definitely a lot. I don't want to say easier, but more accessible, I feel like, to start a delivery service and to be a provider for people for these craft goods. And so with two buddies of mine, we had started Terptown, and kind of, I think the concept, like, for most people who get into cannabis business is that they love cannabis and they smoke a lot of cannabis or they use a lot of different cannabis products.
A lot of it's done for the love.
A lot of it's done for the love, and then also too, you know, I'll be straight. It's always great to get a good price on meds, so that's where our head was at when we started Terptown. And our slogan when we started it was "Best meds at the best price." We felt like concentrate was like a little expensive at the time, especially on some of the like rarer offerings or like more hype goods. and
$120 grams.
Yeah, there was a lot of that, and so we came to the market with Terptown with this concept of I don't think wanting to disrupt, but really we wanted to offer a delivery service that we would use, that offered the products that we liked, offered them at a price point that was considerable to the wallet. For me, I'm always a big person of, if we can make products more accessible to the consumer, we'll have more consumers who are enjoying the product, you know? So our big thing when we started Terptown was working with popular brands at the time, like Moxie, Rump Wax, lots of live resin. Live resin was the king in the streets. Shatter was the name of the game. When that's where the nickname stemmed to a little bit from as well. Young Slabby. Slabs were the top of the food chain at the time.
That's it. It's a box of pizza.
You know, I've still heard that in various places they're enjoying the boxes of pizza, but
New York.
But yeah, definitely we just came in tough, and we had these like great accounts with.
Oh, here you go. Let's get you a dab.
Sweet, dude.
So you started this delivery service in Berkeley. You had good accounts. You did it for the love. You did it with your friends. And
yeah,
you wanted to make a little bit of money. So, like, you know, in the town I grew up in, we always dreamed of the case. That should be perfect, Slab.
Beautiful.
You know, the town I grew up in, we always dreamed of the days when somebody would just like deliver some chronic to our house. So when I got to be 16, I was that guy, you know, bringing the greenest herb I could find. It was the green bud. People knew they could come to me for the green, and I always delivered, you know. And you go around, you see your people and stuff. But where'd you grow up? You know, Slabby. Where was it that you grew up? Smoke your first herb and that kind of thing.
Santa Barbara, California.
Santa Barbara.
805.
All right, 805.
I don't suggest it for anyone. I think if I hope. You know, from my own personal experience, I think it's best when people wait till they're 21 before trying cannabis. But my journey did begin at 15.
Yeah.
I got introduced by two very close friends, and that's like one thing in life I've learned to trust. When you have a good friend who you know knows what's good, and they tell you to check something out, it's usually worth giving it a shot.
Agreed.
And so even though I was classically, I don't think I was ever the kid that anyone was going to point a finger at and think, this guy's going to become the biggest stoner. It's quite the opposite. I was pretty, like, studious and definitely a little bit nerdy, but...
Right on.
I had these two super cool friends and went for a sleepover when I was 15. And my buddy Riley, who actually 2019 passed away, rest in peace, he busted out this bag of herb, and he had a little pipe. And he said that his older brother had gotten him this little bit of herb in this pipe. Yeah. And we blew back down on this bag. We killed the entire bag. And I remember telling myself then, I said, this is the only container I'm ever going to smoke weed in. And for 6 months, my only weed smoking experiences were at this house on a Friday or Saturday sleepover. That was the one place that I would do it. And then I turned 15 and a half, and I got a learner's permit. Right. And the space of the car to store the weed became a big thing for me. I was a big hot boxer. I'm sure you've had a lot of experiences in your own youth.
I did. My first car was a 1986 Crown Victorian station wagon.
Oh, wow.
And it had these two like seats in the way back that unfolded, and they're two facing each other. So and it had two bench seats in the front, 2 seats. So you could get 8 people in there legally. And so we'd load it up with 8 people.
Damn!
And go hard. There's plenty of people out there that were part of that experience.
I had a buddy, Robbie, with a Winnebago.
Nice.
That was like a frequent one for us. We'd go to this. There was still in Santa Barbara. It's called Blueberry Lane.
Okay,
and
cool.
we would go hotbox the Winnebago there, or hotbox the CRV. It was like, had come to be like a known, trusted place for us. But we did actually have one time that ended the Blueberry Hill run, where we were just there, and it was actually my idea. I came up with this horrible idea, and we had like just hotbox the car, and I was like, guys, let's just sit in the hotbox, you know. I was like, let's just post here and sit, and we were just sitting in the car. We had this little blunt roach like going in the thing, adding some more smoke to the ambiance, you know, listening to some music, and next thing you know, cop lights right behind the car. And Santa Barbara's like a pretty weed-friendly city. Lots of cannabis. I feel like a lot of California culture. So I definitely from my youth have had lots of run-ins with the police. I feel like it's a roll of the dice in Santa Barbara if they're gonna be a little bit cooler or not. Honestly, in this situation, it was a pretty funny one. They basically got us all out of the car, and there was smoke billowing from the vehicle. And my friend, they asked me, they were like, "What is the smoke coming from the car?" And he said, "Oh, I think my engine must be malfunctioning or something's going on." And they immediately pulled us from the car. We all had stoned red eyes. I remember them coming up to me and being like, "Well, come on, dude. Like, what's going on here?"
Tell us what's up.
I hit him with the allergies. I was like, "Oh my god." But it was like a super funny one because we had come and gotten into this one car, but we were all basically like parked in a row, and they'd asked us like, "Are these your guys' cars?" Like, the other cars just parked here in this row, and same fashion we were like, no, they're not our cars. And then they ran the license plates and saw that they were the vehicles.
Like, is this a woman with the same last name your mom by chance?
And they were very nice though. They had us do this like grand act. I had my buddy Dennis. Essentially, it is illegal to lie to a police officer. So basically, they had him recite the law to us, and then we did this little like ritual where we threw the blunt roach fucking away with the cops, and then they called our parents to pick us up, and we're generally cool about it. But
a little ritual with the cops, I like it. I've been exposed to that ritual myself, and sometimes they just want to make sure you ruin like the experience you had. And that was good enough for them to let you go on your way, but just so you know, they'll come ruin your time if you.
Yeah.
And not necessarily in Santa Barbara, just with police in general. I've had plenty of run-ins where, they don't arrest us, and they know we're super stoned and irie and stuff. But I think it's pretty understood by the cops that a lot of them we weren't really causing that much trouble.
Yeah.
They didn't really care.
Definitely.
It was just kind of the protocol for herb was at least to crumble it up and make the person feel bad.
Yeah.
Is that like the least they should do?
It's crazy. I feel like but also so cool that we've gotten to live in these like, just what I would say like very forward progressive times where we've seen so much stigma change. We've seen so much attitude change, and I think I can sometimes, just as much as the next Geen, get a little lost in the negative, but there is so much positive. We made so much progress, and I think that is I know the past couple of years, just in terms of the corona situation globally for the whole entire world, was a very tough and trying time. But I know especially for the cannabis industry, there was a lot of flux, a lot of chaos, a lot of constant change, which already was there just in terms of legislation and jumping through different hoops. But to have all these other different factors on top, I know it's been definitely a tough time for the industry. And so a big part of my whole mantra, and that's like tying back to addressing the haters, is building a community culture of coming together.
Right on. Best way to address the haters, for sure.
Love is the ultimate cure, they say. In my own endeavors of trial and tribulation, I feel like in business and cannabis business, other endeavors as well, there's lots of situations and tough times in life that can super frustrate you, but you definitely got to rise above. That's one of the reasons I love the plant so much too, because I feel like smoking good herbs, smoking good dabs, it definitely unlocks the pathway to that mindset of really being in a like cool irie vibe.
It seems to open up a positive, progressive mindset. Artistic, creative space.
Definitely,
open dialogue, and this is the type of thing that communities and societies need, in my opinion, to progress together. So often we have like societies and our local towns and local, or governments and whatnot working just like in two different directions instead of like at least somewhat close to the same.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, aren't we all doing?
I'm going to go on a crazy tangent here. I'm going to go on a crazy tangent here though for you, Steve. Because it's funny you're talking about that one, because I've been running this crazy hypothetical for a couple friends lately. I want to ask you and see what your answer is.
Let me get involved.
But say there was a society collapsing crisis, and society collapsed. It was rubbled. Fucking the structures of power and government and organization and how we exist and operate toppled.
Yep.
And there were two groups that formed. One group that was like, okay, we're going to reforge society. We're going to build some type of community. And then another group.
I love the question. Yeah.
Another group that planned to isolate and to
Right.
just go on their own and basically, just solo dolo, go off to some remote location and plan to maybe potentially live the rest of their life with no community contact.
Communally, essentially.
Yeah. So where would you find yourself, Steve? Which one would you pick?
That is if those were the two choices, I would.
I grapple between the two
that's
myself.
a tough one. I find myself always in the middle, building bridges and things. At least that's what
How
I like to express it at this point in life. It's like connecting dots and building bridges, finding the patterns that connect.
Definitely the dots.
But in this case, we're talking kind of one way. I think I would probably work towards a societal, approach.
Tight.
It's tough to say.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I mean,
it is.
It's a difficult one. I've asked a couple of people. I've gotten a couple immediate. Just I'd rebuild really big heroes who were down to rebuild society. Also, some friends who were like, I would exit and take the chance, but
yeah,
it's a funny one to dwell on, especially as I think just where it also came to mind is the Corona one. But that's another thing about Slabby. Lots of hypothetical situations.
I do love that. Yeah,
lots of hypothetical situations, lots of thinking. I consider myself definitely a little bit of a thought agent. Doing just I feel like a variety of different things over the last few years.
Creative work for sure is what is where I'm looking from. My lens is you've got some creative vibes going on with the work you're doing.
Well, I guess we'll connect from there. So with the delivery service, the Chirp Town, because I want to get to where our bridge comes together. Is next was Cosmic Supper Club for me. So Cosmic Supper Club was a solventless pairing that began with Feeling Frosty Hash in San Francisco.
Love those folks.
There was actually one before that was a flour pairing. It was with a course meal paired with flour. I believe actually the flour is from Icy Collective, if you're familiar, with Ben and the cats over there.
Okay, I'm not sure I am.
They put out some pretty killer flour. And I was invited as a guest for that one.
Great.
And had come out to the dinner, and it was a course meal with flour. And the whole thing for me is I love smoking weed and then eating food. But as far as pairing flowers, you got to get really particular notes. Just something about the combustion of the flame can really take the palate. So it can be hard to get the full expression of the food. That's why I like concentrate so much. And so when I'd gone to the meal, I was doing the delivery at the time and had talked to the friend that had invited me and introduced me to the concept.
Mm-hmm.
And was like, damn, this would be sick to do with concentrate. I think that was our shared idea of it. And together we had come up with this pairing platform method of where what we would suggest was a small micro dab of concentrate, a bite of the course meal, and then another micro dab of concentrate. And that was where the concept was born. And we ran Cosmic Supper Club in San Francisco for almost 3 years. On a monthly basis at a really lovely location in Valencia, and built a really cool community and I feel culture around that project. We had a lot of repeat guests. Oh, perfect.
You want me to heat this up again?
Oh, that would be amazing.
Right on, just making sure.
I biffed it.
No, I didn't heat it up.
How could I step into the dabbing cabin and say no to dab?
I should have just started heating up. I take that back.
But so we ran this really awesome project out of San Francisco. We had a couple spin-offs. We did a Seattle PNW edition where we featured some PNW hash makers, which was super cool. The other big one was Spain. We had done a CannAbyss meal, which was super tight for me to host a pairing, and a solventless pairing in another country was really out of this world.
That sounds great.
Big love to everyone in Barcelona. I got a lot of friends over there. Love the community culture they have there around the lounges.
It's amazing, and just food, food in Spain and the pinchos,
Yeah.
pinchos hour, just like 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock, I think it was. You go into the bar, the local pubs and stuff. It's just elbow to elbow. People are really close, eating, talking, just enjoying the food together.
It's a really.
I imagine that'd be a great experience.
It's a super get together culture, and so and it all ties together, Steve. That's the other thing too. Sometimes Slabby can get to a little rambling, but there's some weave to the web I'm spinning. But with Spain, I had traveled out first for CannAbyss the first time, just as like an enthusiast and big fan of the culture, and then. The next year that I went out, we did that CannAbyss Culture Club dinner, which was super sick. And then 2019, it was 2019. When did Corona start, Steve?
I think 2019 or at the beginning of 2020.
Okay.
Yeah, that should be good to go. I think, I actually traveled right around New Year's for 2019, 2020, and I went to St. Louis.
This piece rip's great, dude.
Right? That's a
big
good one.
Big shout out to Jesse.
Nice work, Jesse.
Not to split off a tangent, but he was telling me a little bit about, because he had a Brian Jacobson collab with him at the show last night.
He does, yep.
If you guys aren't hip to Brian Jacobson, awesome artist out of Arizona. Does really great motif and pattern work. Super cool dude, too.
Yeah, it looks like some, Southwest native art to some degree. It has this
it speaks strongly of the culture, and that's the cool thing about Brian Jacobson is like when you meet him is he's very much that character. Same way with like ESP. What a fun dude. And so just chopping it up with him, particularly about your piece, he was telling me just he's been working on getting the volume on those like just the passageways on the piece just like nice and sleek and stylish, and it's really cool because this is a classic design. It's like a stand-up bubbler almost. Dewar joint so that you can use it for dabbing. One change there, and then a little, I would say this sleek tightness to the shaping that is like representative of like the 2010 plus forward glossing. So pieces like this always like make my eyes really pop just because they blend the old school style so well with like the sleek aesthetics of what like is currently popular.
Jesse's notoriously made some of the sickest Sherlocks that I've seen, and just some of that work. So it's been cool to see that stuff evolve. But he's just make some of the coolest Sherlocks out there. He had a few with him.
Yeah, no.
Some
honestly,
really nice Sherlocks. And the heads are like, super wide, which provides a ton of space for really cool artwork. So that one, he had a Brian Jacobson, I think.
Yeah, the Brian
combo.
He had the Brian Jacobson Sherlock, but the other one, the one that really stood out to me is that a black and white piece that had like I forgot exactly what type of quartz it was, but he had an encasement that had like quartz in it.
Yeah.
And I'd actually never seen that body of work from him before. He said he's been making them for a long time, but I've actually never seen a pipe with an encasement quite like that. Basically, you could shake it and like the quartz would like.
Yeah. I actually have, well, I guess I can't take it off with all this gear on and stuff, but this piece has all that quartz in it.
Oh, sick.
As well.
Sick.
And so I kind of pitched him this idea of something we wanted to make. And I'll bust it out and show you real quick. He finished it up and brought it down here from Medford. That's where Jesse's living.
Sick.
In the Medford area right now.
Oregon, a mecca of flame working culture.
Yeah, not to run off on too far of a tangent, but we might as well.
Oh yeah,
give a big shout out to Jesse one more time here. He made this. This is a collab piece between Jesse, ESP Glass.
Damn.
And this is the colorways of the GTR strain from Aficionado.
Oh,
Shout out to Leo Stone.
So sick, dude.
And so this is a concept. After I got this pendy from Jesse here, this pendant with the crystals, I saw him blowing them. I kind of asked him if he could make a similar kind of piece, but something that would hold a blunt. So we're releasing these GTR blunts with Aficionado, and we're going to rally this thing off to one of the people who buys the blunts and enters the contest. Someone's going to win this. It's a custom blunt GTR colorway collab, fresh
dude.
strain, Aficionado, and ESP Glass. Dude.
How
Check
sick,
this out,
dude!
Check that out, Slabby.
Man, what a cool way for you guys to honor the strain, dude.
And just trying to bring it all together, you know, there's like,
Well,
the culture can be represented so many ways, but something like this really, to me, speaks to the essence of why we do what we do.
I was gonna say, never hesitate, Steve, with Slabby. If you see me, you can always stop the moment to open a Pelican and tell me the story of a pipe. That's what I think is so beautiful about each piece is there's a story behind each and every one. They're also like similar, I feel like, to crystals and stones, just like in nature of like how they carry and pass energy. Like
Agreed.
we share these pieces, we create memories with them. Like a lot of love gets imbued in the piece, you know.
Right.
A funny one I'll run for like a lot of people is there's anytime someone really hits me with like, I don't really see why you would invest in having a nice pipe. I often say, well, I'm more oftentimes using the pipe more than I'm using my car.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And getting more enjoyment out of the use. You know, I know there's like a different passions for every different type of folk, but I from my first real experiences with Boro, just quickly fell in love. You know, past even just like the act of and ritual of like enjoying cannabis, but really just the fascinating nature of like all the unique pieces.
Right.
So super sick.
Well, I'd say before I tuck this thing away and finish where we were going with our collaboration and connection, I'd want to say if someone's listening to this out there and you're interested in trying to win this piece, you've got to go into your dispensary and demand a fresh strain, aficionado, ESP, collab blunt. They're going to be 2-gram blunts of GTR.
Oh, wow.
The GTR is super gassy.
So basically
delicious.
They just go into the dispensary. If they do get one of those, they're entered in the opportunity.
Yeah, it'll tell them on the package, hey, go to our website and enter to win this and take a picture of yourself or something with your package.
Hell yeah.
Or whatever it is. And then they'll be entered in to win it. It's just something fun to bring the community together. And I thought I would just give a little shout out to it because then we can kind of hype it with this too. And
I won't go too long on a tangent.
No, go please.
But I love concepts and giveaways like this. I don't know, Steve, if you've ever heard of the Very Slabby giveaway, but it's a project I've actually ran for years now. It's been like a little bit sporadic whenever it pops up, but it initially started, so like when I started the Young Slabby page, my intentions really were no more than it's gonna sound silly, but I just really liked making dab videos. I lived in like a tiny apartment in Berkeley, and I would go onto my staircase and I'd make these little dab videos. And it was right around the time we started the delivery service. So in addition, like our delivery service page for Terptown was Berkeley Terps. A really cool page to look at too, just in terms of concentrate history. We have like so many companies like G's company, Terp, that we had worked with.
OG.
A lot of OG Humboldt companies.
Cool.
But that was like all professional photography. We had a buddy, Fedney Photo. He always did super fantastic photographs for us. We were known for the Terptown for very being on top of our product photography. Any kind of concentrate we were intaking, we were mostly doing like professional photo and getting it onto the page. But the Young Slabby page was just dab videos. And I never really expected to amass like any kind of following or audience. I like dedicate a lot of it to just like a lot of good traveling and meeting people and making connections and just getting around. But yeah, there was dab videos were the start for me. So when I felt like I had made it at a certain point in my existence, how I wanted to give back was doing a dab video competition.
I like that.
And that was the Very Slabby giveaway.
Okay, all right, I like it.
The first time we did it, I gifted away just pieces from my personal collection. The second time we evolved the project, and we got my close friend Aaron B., who's super awesome flame worker from Seattle, whose work I've collected for a long time. She was super kind and basically collaborated with us to make a functional dab rig for first place, believe a pendant set for second, and then a pipe for third place.
Cool.
And so it was just basically a project to encourage people to like make content, to shout out the brands that they liked. I think that's like, you know, social media can be kind of a like double-edged like culture a little bit. But I do think there are good positive connections, and like one thing I like to see is like people just like putting me on to like cool brands, especially within the cannabis space, because there's a lot of ripe creation right now.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'd say the same thing. If you're listening to this too, like, you got a cool brand or something that I should be hip to, send me the connect me in the DM, dude. I love that.
I'll say to our guests right now, just on another completely side tangent, but Godex Official. So that's one of Steve's companies and projects that he's a part of. They're putting out awesome resin produced from Humboldt County, a lot of living soil, a lot of, as Steve was talking about, like the rambutan, just very interesting and unique genetics. And we had a big blessing. Well, I guess let me turn back a little bit. So back to where I was in Spain. It was 2019. We were getting ready to go out to Barcelona again for my third CannAbyss, and we were going to do another dinner, and then Corona hit. And that kind of just, I mean, I feel like it halted life for everyone, but especially for events of like gathering and getting together.
Definitely.
Brought Cosmic Supper Club to a halt, which was a tough one for me. I'm like a social being, Steve, so like
understood.
I came to really enjoy the just the connections we were making over the Cosmic Supper Club. And so when that project kind of went to rest, I always in the back of my head had an idea of wanting to get back to doing the solventless pairings, and not just get back to doing them, but to expand upon the concept. And that's where our mutual friend G is also over at the Gondry in McKinleyville, which is another one of the projects Steve is passionately invested in and a big part of, and did a brand called Terp that we carried at Terp Town back in the day.
Old school Terp.
Funny connection to like both me and G are from like Southeast Asian backgrounds and origin points, and so, you know, for a lot of people, like, I didn't really have too many like Indian smoking weed friends, you know. Actually, G was like one of the first ones, like, and G's got like a couple years on me and definitely a lot more achievements and a lot of cool stuff done. So like to have an OG that was like, you know, like similar phase for me was like really positive and powerful. And
that's cool.
G always was like really stellar person by me in business and always had super stellar product with Terp, so it was like a winning combination there. And he had come to one of our Cosmic Supper Clubs and he thought it was like such a dope experience, and from that moment, like, he always would just kind of, you know, egg me a little bit, sometimes more than others, of like, when are you gonna do this again, you know, when are we gonna how are we gonna bring this back to life, or how are we gonna evolve this, or how do we make it happen again. And just, I think, as everyone was coming out of the Corona Cove and like emerging back into the world, I got a call from G, and he said he had this brilliant venue in Arcata. Arcata for me is like, that was my first time I ever traveled up to Humboldt, actually to G's house, was to Arcata. So that lit a little spark in my eye. I'd never done an event in Humboldt before. Felt like it would be something different. And a big thing I came to G when I said I was down to get involved in the project is, I said I didn't want to do the exact same thing. Really wanted to try to expand on how we get people together to build something maybe a little just bit larger in its inclusivity, or something that could be more of a bridge or platform for people, rather than like a super exclusive, like super heady dinner, which, you know, the Cannabis Culture Club, I would say, is a balance of that. So we do have a membership program, but we do urge guests to refer new members and to bring new people to the dinners and to the events and to get them hip to what we're doing. Sorry for the little segue there.
I would urge them the same thing. They should definitely go.
Yeah, either way. So G had this brilliant venue in Arcata, and I came out. I hit G up. I told him, G, I was living in LA at the time. I'd moved from the Bay to LA. And I was like, G, don't make me drive all the way up to Arcata. I love Arcata, G, but don't make me drive up all the way if it's not worth it. This venue's sick, right? And he said, Slabby, like, come on. I throw fucking amazing reggae shows. I'm telling you, this is a sick venue. And I didn't actually know that about G, so that was like a cool thing too, to like come into learning about his production career in reggae music and live music and get-togethers of that nature. Where I was like, damn! I came up to Arcata and saw this super dope venue, where we kicked off Cannabis Culture Club with Cold Gold Solventless.
Yeah, Yuri's spot up there.
Yeah.
Thanks, Yuri.
Yeah, hell yeah. Big shout out to Yuri.
Up on top of the creamery building.
Iconic location, dude. Looking over Arcata. And so, yeah, that's where I came up. I saw the spot. G brought Cold Gold Solventless to the table, which those guys just took third place yesterday at Ego Clash. So big shout out to the boys over at Cold Gold.
Congrats, those guys.
And their entire team. They put out a lot of great product.
They crush.
And we did a 6-course pairing with Chef Aaron McBlain. Chef Aaron has professional history in the kitchen, but also works with Talking Trees Distribution.
Yeah, he's a local up there in Humboldt.
Local up in Humboldt, a man about town for sure.
He hit it up good that night.
Oh, yeah. Chef Aaron really kicked our series off brilliantly. And we came to the project with really wanting to make each event maybe similar in structure of the solventless pairing, but unique in concept of the collaborators, the brands, up to this last one, to the stories we were really trying to tell. Last night's dinner, which Steve project Godex official.
Godex.
That was pretty much the launch for, like, near launch for at least for North Bay area.
Essentially, yeah. We've had like a soft launch for the product into our lineup in the last month and a half or so, but we haven't really been anywhere except to the stores we already sold to, and a few local people, and some new stores picked us up. But this was the first time we really brought it to the public, and we thought, pairing it together with the meal that you guys did with this Harvest Bounty meal would be the perfect way to showcase our product. We don't really like to always get caught up in the wave of everyone thinking, the trends that are happening. I'd like to be a part of the trend that you guys are doing here, and gals, and be a part of that, pairing with a meal, having the time to talk about it, experience this with some new people, some old people. I forgot the guy's name. Arvin, maybe, that was next to me.
Arvin, yeah,
nice
from
dude.
From Maryland.
From Maryland.
Great and that's what I love to see too.
Is I like meeting people from all over.
Yeah, exactly, Steve, exactly. And so, we brought Cannabis Culture Club to life. Our mission statement and intention behind that project is to bring our members together over the history, the love, the shared passion for cannabis culture and the plant, but also to forge the new history and new era of cannabis and how we come together over it. And so with these solventless pairings, the last 2 dinners, we've been very lucky to collaborate with Chef Heijin Chun, Big Bad Wolf of SF.
Big Bad Wolf, she was delicious.
Who, same way to Aaron, brought a whole big flavor, independent vibration, and unique narrative to our project, which was super cool. Like, we did a dinner at the Hessel Grange in Santa Rosa for Hall of Flowers with the team over at Kalia Extracts. Big shout out to Mark, Joe, and Ben over there. They had the entire team. I could list off the whole thing. Everyone at Kalia was super awesome. But we collaborated with them at the Hessel Grange. And Chef spoke at the end of the dinner. And, like, one of my favorite parts, like, of her whole narrative and what she shared with our guests was just as coming from a similar, like, Southeast Asian, or I think Chef's Korean, so maybe not Southeast Asian, but AAPI background, and dealing with parents that were not supportive of smoking weed. That, like, reminded me much of my own experience. And Chef spoke on that in the dinner and talked about how we were breaking that stigma, creating new narratives around how people are seeing and viewing cannabis use, and representing for the culture in this new way. And so that ties back to forging the narrative. And so we're so grateful at Cannabis Culture Club that we've been blessed with amazing partners like Godex, Have Hash and Flowers at this last dinner. Shout out to all the teams. I feel like everyone crushed the pairing selections. Particularly, we got a lot of feedback from people that said the Rambutan was one of their favorite pairings from the night. So again,
Yeah.
if you guys see an opportunity to check out some of this Rambutan live rosin, I guarantee you that it's something unique and different to the flavor profile than you're going to be seeing around, which is what I look for. You know,
That's
in a
what we're
market,
looking for. Yeah.
yeah, in a market where a lot of stuff starts to blend
slurping.
together, it's tight to have some unique dabs.
No, it totally is. You guys killed it with the dinner, but thanks. The rambutan really is a unique one. If you're a dab head, you're gonna like it. You know,
The living soil is a kicker factor. It's like it's very healthy quality resin. You can see like just from the way it holds its like moistness in the product. I feel like the color is really nice too, and that it's like indicates like I feel like a good chopping time on this product.
Agreed.
You know, sometimes when it gets just a little too light, it almost indicates that maybe it was a little too early, but this product's got a nice shade to it, which is super awesome.
Yeah, I would agree to that. It hasn't had a long time to actually really cold cure. It was fresh pressed like a week and a half ago or something. So.
Oh wow!
And then it got whipped real quick. So. It hasn't had a chance to really cure. So I'm assuming when we get it out there in the jars and the final batch is going to have a little more body.
Yeah.
But it's super greasy. You can see it's a greasy one. Usually the grease ends up like a sharper flavor, where this one's like floral. It really does taste like the fruit or even guava, you know. But yeah, I fired this rig up for you one more time there, Slabby.
Ooh, I'll take one more.
think?
I'll take one more. I'll take
right.
one more for the dabbing cabin.
Yeah.
And then it sounds like we're being summoned back out to the Emerald Cup right now, Steve.
Well, that sounds like fun.
We got our whole crew. That's I feel like one of the favorite parts of the cup is just the chaos and flow of seeing all the faces, meeting everyone. It's been a fun day. I've seen a lot of familiar faces. Also met some new friends today, which has been tight. It's always cool to connect with new people, and definitely been cool to be rolling with the Godex crew. You guys have been keeping the flavors locked down, which I super appreciate. We had a nice little dab bar experience going down behind the Redwood stage today, where we're doing a little tasting of some of the Godex just on a more private, smaller scale, and that was a lot of fun. Everyone was giving great feedback there too, so I think it's going to be tight to see the Godex take the market.
Yeah, we're excited to enter the market, and we'll definitely be entering product into the competitions, you know, to get our product out there to the heads. Might want to hit that a little bit more for a second.
Oh, I biffed it.
Oh, you're good. But yeah, we're excited for that, and Emerald Cup events are always great. This Harvest Ball has been a lot of fun. Definitely looking forward to going back out here and seeing what the rest of the night has in store.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I feel like we really just cracked into it, but hopefully
this is just part one.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it is part one. I hope the Slabby experience wasn't too wild or crazy for you, Steve. I know we can get all over the place, but it's a lot of passion, it's a lot of love, a lot of culture, you know.
It's perfect. I'm enjoying your time. I'd love to spend more time, and we'll have to do it again. As I said, part one, just meaning I hope to have many more times where we can sit here and do a little dab review.
Well, yeah, like I was saying,
I
feel like we've just cracked into it. I feel like I took a lot of the talking today, but I do want to hear too more about your personal story. Also, we didn't really get into the tale of the Gondry, which is one I would love to explore sometime. And because
I'm happy to talk about myself, but on these interviews I try to catch other people. But yeah, no, we talk about everything.
Yeah, of course.
That's what it's all about. It ain't just about you. It's about me. It's about all of us, you know, and coming together around these things we love. You know, that's what I always loved about herb, is it brings people together, and the Emerald Cup's just been an expression of our entire community, you know, and you got to love that, you know. And
dude, shout out Tim Blake. He's a badass, dude.
Tim Blake and all the rest, dude.
I mean, we were really blessed to have Tim Blake speak at the dinner last night.
It was nice to see him.
And just, man, legendary characters, the way they speak and express themselves, and like just to hear how much history that Tim has on cannabis culture and how we come together over it was insane, you know. And so that's where I love projects like this. I really appreciate you guys having me come on and come into the CannAbyss. I feel like this was a light little foot in the water for Young Slabby. We're gonna have to come back. And
it was the first course.
Exactly, first first pairing.
Course.
So we'll be back. We'll be back here. I appreciate you, Steve, having me. Lauren holding it down on production.
Yeah,
and
thanks so much, Lauren.
Keeping us steady. And yeah, also this was my first ever real podcast content interview. So I appreciate you guys having me and holding space for the creative evolution of Young Slabby. And lined up a couple more today too, so hopefully we'll be seeing more content from the Slabby space and more storytelling and other different stuff too. I appreciate you guys giving me some space tonight.
I hope to see some more too, and to all the haters out there,
yeah,
you know, give them a little shout out to those haters.
A little shout out. You know what the beautiful thing about haters too is, you know, the internet can be a very crazy, rapid place for communication, but did have a good crossing of paths with a good couple haters today in the Emerald Cup, and we reconciled our hate. They didn't have, at least to my face, didn't hate Slabby that much. So
right on.
That was fucking a good one from the day, and like I think a positive message from that is like there will always be trying times, especially in business. Cannabis business is very unique in its trial and tribulation because we're pioneers of this plant. We're really ushering in a new age of how people connect with the plant and get access to it and come together over it. So
and how we connect to each other. It's like, you know,
exactly.
If you're ever having something going on with somebody on a text or a direct message on Instagram or different things, it's always great to see them. It kind of just like immediately something changes, right? It takes a little bit.
Yeah,
something goes away.
I have an idol of mine in my life, a friend of mine, flame worker, fucking Quave Glass. He has this great one that he runs about basically like the company lunch, you know. Before the company lunch, there's little beefs or minor turmoil between people, maybe a little bit of speaking. But when everyone gets together over the barbecue and the food and the good times and now that we get to see so much cannabis business around, I feel like the pipe as well too. Cannabis is a love plant. Cannabis is a peace plant, you know. So I'm grateful to hold space for the haters, the lovers, for everyone.
Yeah.
I'm grateful to be here with the plant. Grateful to be here with you, Steve. And let's rage back into the Emerald Cup and
let's do this.
Make some more memories.
Right on. Again, thank you, Slabby, for coming in here, Steve. And people out there listening to this, watching this. Follow Young Slabby. He's a lot of entertainment and putting out good vibes out there.
Thank you, Steve.
He got my attention. You inspired me to do more dad videos, which my fiance thinks is hilarious because I am 46, Slabby, and I do have 4 kids in the world. And, you know.
Well, I'm glad you still make time because those dad video reps, they're just as important as the physical workout.
I see people
in the
doing
world
this
of
stuff.
medicine fucking of Young Slabby.
I see people doing these things, and I'm like, you know, there's a better way to do that. Or I want to have that fun too, you know. And that's how I started this whole Into the Cannabis thing. Just a quick little ditty. You know, right when COVID started, I wasn't traveling around as much, seeing all the people I love to connect with. So I just started doing it on the Instagram Live to connect with those same people. And I thought I could introduce these people that I know. I think they're cool. Maybe you'd think they were cool too.
Definitely.
You know? So I started just trying to connect with those people and like show my friends off to the world. Right?
Hell yeah!
And so it became.
Damn,
this
I
thing.
love that one, Steve. I like to use
man.
my platform in a similar fashion of really, you know, in the healthiest way possible, making a pedestal for all of the cool friends and people in my life who are doing awesome things, whether it's in the cannabis space or even beyond that. So
there's enough bullshit out there, so let's keep putting out some good stuff.
Let's do it. Let's do it, Steve.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you guys so much.
Thanks again, Slabby. Peace. Everybody out there watching this and Slabby, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Again, I'm Steve Geeter, your host with the most weed from coast to coast.
So sick.
And we were out in the cannabis, and we hope to see you again.
Hell yeah.
Thank you. Peace.
Super sick.
All right. That was fun, Slabby.
That was a good one, I feel like.
Yeah, that was fun.